So what's up, dudes? I'm here giving you my first lesson ever. This is going to be pretty much a solely bushcraft channel. I'm going to do a couple videos on pretty much everything, and then I'll probably recover it or something. The reason I'm giving you the idea for this channel is because this is a brand new channel. This is my first video ever. So try to show some support, guys, and I'm going to be going over how to start a fire bushcraft style. That's pretty much what it's going to be. So there's a couple components to starting a fire. Of course, you're going to have your kindling. You're going to have your logs. You're going to have your sticks. You're going to have for your fire starter, that may be paper, that may be leaves, that may be dry grass. That's going to be what you use to start the kindling. And the one other thing that you're going to have would be your bird's nest. So I'm going to go over them all, and then I will start the fire. There's actually one thing I left out. You're going to need your fire starter. You're going to need your ferro rod, your flint and steel, your lighter, whatever you're going to use. Typically, if you're doing a fire bushcraft style, you're not going to use lighters or matches. You can do that if you want to, but I'm going to be showing you pretty much solely bushcraft style. So I'm going to be using the ferro rod today, which is kind of like flint and steel, but the reason it's called a ferro rod is because it has flint in it, but it also has other metals. It's not solely flint. So you can see I've got my fire set up here. Now this is kind of a go off the log cabin. It's pretty much a log cabin style fire, except it only has 3 sides instead of 4. You can do this if you don't have enough materials. I do it because it seems a lot easier to start fires for me. I don't like the teepee. I recommend you not use that method. And I don't like the lean-to. I recommend you not use that method either. I recommend that you guys use the log cabin, or as I like to call it, the 3 cabin, because it's a log cabin with 3 sides. But yeah, I've got quite a bit of kindling. I've got some sticks, I've got some logs, all put in the shape of a triangle. And I'm going to be lighting this fire up. But I'm going to need to light it first. And with a ferro rod or flint and steel, this is what a lot of people don't understand. It's really, really hard to start fires with flint and steel. And it's really hard to start fires with the ferro rod. It's a little bit easier to start fires with the ferro rod than flint and steel. So I recommend that you guys use a ferro rod, not flint and steel, because that is easier. That's what most pro survivalists use. Most pro survivalists do not use flint and steel. This is what I found out. They will use ferro rods for the sole reason it's just more powerful. It's a more powerful version of flint and steel. But you're not going to light solely the leaves. So you could grab a big pile of leaves out in the woods, throw it in a fire pit, throw some sticks on top of it, and try to light the fire, but I pretty much guarantee you it's not going to work. The reason for that is because leaves are very hard to light. You might be able to crumple them up. You might be able to make them into smaller pieces and light them. But you're going to need what people call a bird's nest, which is very, very, very tender, dry pieces, small pieces of leaves, dry grass. I like to use lint for my bird's nest. then what you're going to do once you light your bird's nest is throw it into your leaves, which will ignite the kindling, which will ignite the sticks, which will ignite the logs. So the one thing I've got to say as well is build your type of fire, build your log cabin, teepee, whatever you're going to be using. I recommend you use a log cabin. Whatever you're going to use to start the fire, whichever style of fire you're going to use, I'd recommend that you build it first before you actually try lighting the fire. I mean, that sounds like a no-brainer, but then if you think about it, I'm sure you guys might have seen a survivalist on the show sit there and feed the fire teeny little stick by teeny little stick, trying to keep it going. So I like to think the reason for that is to not have a huge raging bonfire and to not use up as much kindling and not make as much smoke. But that's going to keep it pretty much very, very small. If you feed it piece by piece, feed your dry grass or leaves piece by piece and your kindling piece by piece, you're never really going to be able to graduate into putting logs on the fire. It's just not going to work. So you can keep feeding it little sticks the whole time, but you're never going to be able to put logs on the fire if you don't build your style of fire first. So I'm trying to think of anything else I might have not have mentioned, because I'm not taking notes. I might take notes in a different video, but today I'm not taking notes. This is all out of pure muscle memory. So one thing I'd recommend is I recommend that you use two types of sticks. You use your little sticks, which would be the kindling. You use your bigger sticks, which would be slightly bigger than kindling. And then you use real good sized sticks to light the logs. That way you have just 3 types of kindling to light the logs with, because it does take quite a bit to be able to light the logs. So I'll be right back in literally like 1 second. It's gonna be a while for me, but it's gonna be a second for you. Alright guys, and I am back, and I've got something to show y'all. So you've heard me talking about a ferro rod versus flint and steel. I did not bring flint and steel today, but I did bring my ferro rod, so I may show you guys what my ferro rod looks like very quickly. So basically it looks just like flint and steel. You've got the stick, you've got the handle on the stick, and you've got your steel. But the reason it's called a ferro rod is because it's still steel, but the flint is actually multiple metals combined to make hotter and more sparks. So then the other thing I have is I have my lint, which this is what I'll use as my, what should I call it, as my bird's nest. So this will be my bird's nest for starting the fire, and I will then throw this into all my leaves. So yeah guys, let's light this thing up. I have no idea how long I've had this thing in that bag. Yeah, try to avoid doing that, guys. Try to avoid knocking over your fire. That's skill right there. So I'll be right back when I've lit this fire. I promise you it won't take that long, okay? I promise. Alright guys, so I have the fire lit. That took me about maybe 20 seconds or so. Probably about a minute actually. But as you can see, it's actually burning pretty strong already. So the one thing you want to make sure you do is make sure all your sticks are over the fire. And it's pretty easy with the log cabin style. I mean, honestly, there's not much you need to do. I'm just going to feed it a few little sticks. So it's actually not catching immediately, but it's caught enough where I can feed it some sticks and it will start to catch on fire. Alright, so it's actually starting to get big, so I've got to step back. But you're simply going to, that's pretty simple once you know how to do it. You just need to figure out that bird's nest and the ferro rod. The ferro rod makes it a lot easier, and so does the bird's nest, which I like to use lint. It's so much easier, guys, I promise you. Look at that, dude, the raging fire already. I mean, that was not difficult for me at all. Like, I remember when I was younger, I would start fires and it'd take hours, like 30 minutes to start a fire. It was ridiculous. I can start them now in like 10 minutes and I can light the fire once I get all the materials within like a minute. It takes me 9 minutes to get the sticks and stuff, and then the rest, all I have to do is light it, which takes a minute. Literally like 60 seconds. I mean, I'm not exaggerating or anything. This is so easy for me now that I understand how to do it. So 3 things I recommend: lint, ferro rod, and log cabin. Those are the 3 things I highly recommend that pretty much make instant fire. I mean, that's the cheat mode. If you're going to start a bushcraft fire, lint, ferro rod, and log cabin. That's all there is to it, guys. So thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye, guys.